The Cultural Revolution was a nationwide reform movement that took place in China during the mid-1960s. Mao Zedong, the leader of the Chinese People's Republic, initiated the Cultural Revolution in 1965. Its purpose was to renew the spirit of revolution in China and prevent the development of a Soviet style of communism, which Mao felt was wrong for China. The revolution he unleashed soon developed another objective, which was to eliminate political rivals in the country who opposed Mao and his policies. The Cultural Revolution caused social and economic chaos. Strangely, one of the things that led to the Cultural Revolution was a theater play. The play was written in 1961 and was an attack on Mao Zedong and the failure of the Great Leap Forward. Mao wrote an article in a Shanghai newspaper condemning the play, and then became widely condemned himself for writing the article. This resistance to his condemnation of the play led Mao to appeal to the youth of China to launch a campaign of criticism against privilege and the policies that led to people becoming privileged. Mao shut down China's schools and organized its students into groups called the Red Guards. He encouraged the Red Guards to attack all traditional values and anything associated with affluent middle-class people, who were referred to as bourgeois. The Red Guards were also encouraged to persecute Chinese teachers, intellectuals, artists, and writers, and they often held book burnings. Many works of art, architectural treasures, and other cultural monuments associated with pre-communist China were also destroyed by the Red Guards. The Red Guards soon splintered into rival groups. One was the so-called moderates. Many of them came from families of political leaders, and they were only moderate when they were dealing with their parents. They attacked everyone else, particularly writers and artists. The other group was the radicals, who were often led by the children of middle-class families who had been persecuted, and by the children of workers and peasants. During the Cultural Revolution, many government officials and intellectuals were sent out to work in the fields alongside the peasants. The struggle within China widened as several million deprived workers and other disadvantaged classes joined the radical students. Bloodshed and the vicious persecution of opponents became commonplace, and there was an almost complete breakdown of government. The Cultural Revolution also caused economic disruption, and industrial production dropped by 12% between 1966 and 1968. The movement soon became violent. Torture became common, and it's estimated that 1 million people died in the Red Guards' purges. Knowing that they held most of the power, the radical Red Guards declared that they were forming a Paris Commune government in Shanghai to replace the leaders of the Chinese Communist Party. The term Paris Commune was a reference to a short-lived uprising in Paris, France in 1871, when workers seized control of the French capital and formed their own government for the city. In China, this idea began to spread to cities other than Shanghai. Mao Zedong stepped in and condemned the Paris Commune, insisting that the Communist Party could not be superseded. In 1967, Mao ordered the army to stop the rivalry between the two Red Guard groups, but to continue to promote the Guard's radical goals. When the military itself began to break into rival groups that either supported or condemned the Red Guards, Mao stepped in and dispersed the Guards. He then began to rebuild the Chinese Communist Party. Although Mao had ended the Cultural Revolution in 1967, the ideological struggle continued right up to his death in 1976. After he died, the arrest of his supporters and sympathizers finally brought the movement to an end.